Today marks 1 year since the deadly Hamas attack on Israel.
Fox 5 political analyst Rick Epps is here to share where things stand in the Middle East. Rick, good morning and thank you for being here today.
Good morning, both of you.
It's hard to believe it's been 1 year and so much has happened in this year.
Yeah, it's almost surreal that it's been a year since the initial attack, and to look over the last year and see all the crises that have developed as a result of it have been just unbelievable, really.
Crises, concerns, the conflict has really evolved since that day 1 year ago. A lot of people feared that we would be here at this point, and it's still growing, and there's potential for more. Explain how this conflict has basically evolved in the last 12 months and what it's going to look like 12 months from now, if you could.
Well, it's interesting in the context that if you think about just over a year ago, we had a ceasefire, right? And they released about a little over 100 hostages for of course, in return for releasing about 300 or approximately of the Hamas prisoners. And so it looked like there was some measure of progress, but a little bit of hope in that. There has been, let's just talk about in Israel alone. In Israel, there was condemnation of Netanyahu and the actions after they started killing a significant number of Palestinians. That has since changed since the killing of Hassan Nasrallah, who was the head of Hezbollah. So now Netanyahu has, his numbers and popularity have rebounded as a result of that, for better or for worse, depending on who you ask. When you look at inside of Gaza, I would say that it is, the word I would use is tragedy. There are, close to 50,000, if not more, that are dead. There's more that they suspect that more than over 10,000 are buried under the rubble that they haven't found yet, and 100,000 who are, injured. And this is, the idea, and I saw this term the other day when I was reviewing forever war. And that's very concerning because there is no off-ramp. Arguably, the hawks in the Israeli government aren't looking for an off-ramp, right? Their off-ramp is to eradicate Hamas, and as if that's a really plausible thing. I would suggest that eradicating Hamas completely is not a really viable goal. It's unending. And with all the people that have now been killed, you've now created tomorrow's terrorist. So for every one person you kill, whose father, brother, sister, uncle, cousin, you've now magnified the number of potential terrorists that will now potentially come to rise over the next decade. So while ironically what's happened also is that the Israeli Defense Force is reduced its manpower in Gaza about 90%. And they have diverted most of their interest into southern Lebanon or northern Israel, right, on the border. But they still have significant presence in Gaza. They're still bombing. They're still doing what they feel justified to do. And so with all the chaos, there's no infrastructure left in Gaza. There is no game plan politically left in Gaza. And there's no way to be able to figure out how to create an infrastructure when no one wants an infrastructure. Netanyahu has said candidly that he wants to have a permanent military presence in Gaza. Hamas is like, no way, Jose. And so there's like this standoff. And in that, you could see this spin into a limited war, if I may call it that, for the next 12 months easily and onward.
Wow.
So it's a mess, a real serious mess.
And while the fighting continues, and so much of what we're hearing today are all the families that are remembering those who they lost a year ago. There are still hostages that are there. They're assuming, I think, counting over 100, and saying that probably a third of them are not alive anymore. So where are we with information on the hostages? Has anything been released recently?
Unfortunately, no. Netanyahu has said he thinks about half of them have been killed. We don't know for sure, and certainly as time goes on, you start to realize that there is less and less chance of those hostages surviving. And the more aggressive Israel becomes, the more Hamas feels threatened. The reality is that they will eventually possibly, kill the hostages. And so that becomes a bigger problem. It also becomes a rallying cry potentially for doing more damage, inflicting more damage inside of Gaza. And Israel finds itself now in this sort of multi-pronged war with several different entities. And that's a real dangerous place for them to be, because the economic impact in Israel has been tremendous as a result of this war as well. These multiple wars, I would call them little mini wars, but wars nonetheless.
And we've talked about those. And over the past year, they were facing these proxies, and now they are directly looking at Iran to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, particularly after the attack by Iran, the missiles that were sent into Israel. Iran has said that they will not supply troops to southern Lebanon to support Hezbollah. However, Israel has not responded yet to the missile attack. Now, they have said they will respond. What that response looks like is what could lead to a wider conflict.
I wanted to talk about that specifically. What do you think that response is going to look like? Is there any way to kind of put you on the spot on that? Like how serious of a response is that going to be?
Well, Israel's not known for proportional responses. As I mentioned, going back to October 7th, they killed 1,200 Israelis approximately, and then the response is, as we see still today, right? I would say that what's interesting about Israel, because they do have the ability to go inside of Iran and attack from the inside. So whether that means attacking targeted individuals potentially, that wouldn't be off the table. It may not be a direct let's just fly missiles in, because that doesn't necessarily get you what you necessarily want. But you can certainly internally inflict a lot of damage to the infrastructure regarding the individual players that are key. Just like they did when they killed the general a few months ago. So there are ways for them to be able to attack without directly attacking. But the other thing that happens with Iran is that you cut them off economically. That's another way to hurt them as well. But that doesn't just hurt the Iranian government. It really ends up hurting the Iranian people, which are always the victims in these conflicts, are always the people.
It's always the people,
yeah.
Rick. World leaders are stepping in, and they have been, urging restraint, urging for ceasefires. Do you see any resolution to this in the coming weeks and months?
Well, it's been interesting that the leaders around the world have all basically been in support, relatively speaking, of Israel during this time. They're paying great homage to what happened on October 7th. However, there's also a great and a very, very visceral push toward resolution, to a ceasefire, because the economic impact of the trade routes through there it's a money game partially too for the world leaders. Most of Europe is all in support. There are, of course, our peripheral states that are not, some of like Russia and China and so forth, right? The usual. But I would say that I don't see anything changing. If anything, I still see it escalating over the next several months. I think it's going to get worse before, if it ever gets what we would call better. And I don't say that because I feel good about that, because ultimately the humanitarian cost is what really concerns me the most, and it's cataclysmic. And now with Lebanon looming, what does that look like in terms of a war front? Unfortunately, Lebanon doesn't have strong leadership. They don't have a president now. That office is vacant. I mean, who want to be the president at this point? And the prime minister is not strong. So it's really problematic inside that infrastructure to even deal with Israel as well. So and Netanyahu doesn't want to stop, and neither do the hawks who now reside in his government. They're not looking to stop, and we have no ability to be able to put pressure on them anymore at this point. Looming over a presidential race, nobody wants to really touch it. So it's a problem.
Okay, Rick Epps, we'll be speaking again. Thank you again.
Thank you.